Hello, my name's Carl Manroot, and I'd like to take a few moments to introduce you to WERC's DC metrics comparison tool. I'm real excited about sharing a couple details with you, and this is going to be a quick overview of how it works, and then I'll answer specific questions in some preceding or following videos. So we've logged in, or I've logged in, and we're going to go ahead and start the analysis. Now, what we can do right here is put in the name of our facility. So I'm going to put it in as Knoxville, Tennessee, where I went to school. And I'm going to go ahead and do a detailed analysis. And the reason I want to do detailed analysis is I have the greatest amount of flexibility later on to do that. If you'll notice here on the right-hand side, current number of year respondents and then all year respondents. So there's about 5,000 unique respondents in the data set. I want to have as many of those as I can when I do my benchmark. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. So I've got Knoxville, Tennessee, and now it gives me my demographic choices. And I'm going to go ahead and pick broken case and then perform the analysis. Now, if you notice over here, I can change a lot of that as we go through. And we started with over 5,000 respondents in the data set. By selecting broken case, we're now going to compare ourselves to around 1,282. From here, all I need to do is enter in the data. And as you can tell, I've entered in data in the past, and so I'm just going to use those same values going forward. Now, some of you were alert and you go, wait a minute, there's an I in each of these boxes. So if I hover over that and then click on it, what it'll do is give me a definition of the metric, but more importantly, how it's calculated. So if I have a question about how did you really do dock to stock, as an example, I can click on it and it'll tell me exactly how that variable or that metric is being calculated. Here's an even better use. If I go over here to the right-hand side of my screen, I can actually download the metric descriptions and calculations, and I'll get that in an Excel file. All right, let's say we're done for now. I can go to the very bottom and view results. Now, if you notice, results are based into 5 different categories. Best in class, which is the top 20%, advantage the next 20% of the performance, all the way down to major opportunity. Some studies will cover those and call them laggards. We prefer to be a little bit more positive and just call it a major opportunity. And some of the numbers I put in say that there is definitely room for improvement. But we are best in class in total order cycle time. Again, I can click on the I so I can understand exactly how that's being defined. Right? And so I know I'm best in class in 2 areas, got room for improvement in some others. I can go to the very bottom down here, and I can save this as a draft, which means I can still edit my values later on. I can finalize, which will freeze everything in place, or I can continue editing my values. So let me just go ahead and click on editing my values, and you'll notice X's come up. So I can now start putting in additional data. And notice what it does as well. It automatically says how I'm performing. Now, if I get a lot of major opportunities, it could be that I'm not reading this correctly, or the way I calculate it could be different than the way that everyone else is doing that. So I can start looking at this. And again, I'm going to update my values and I'm going to save it as a draft. And when I want to come back to it later on, I just hit view. And you can see that our computer's thinking about that and it'll bring me back to this. Finally, I can go ahead and download all my data at when I would go ahead and finally save it and update it. So I'll show you that in the next video.